let's go here. So what is direct mail? Direct mail is simply a marketing channel designed to send postcards and letters to motivated sellers. That's it. It has the word mail in it. It only goes through the USPS, the United States Postal Service, and that's it. Okay. So anyone say so a lot of people use the word DM. They think it's so cool. It's direct mail. So I'm starting from square one so everybody gets a fair chance in this. Okay. So many people in this business try to over talk on it, and it ticks people off. Okay. The reason I love direct mail is it still works today. Guys, if I didn't do it, you would be very scared. Okay. I have a lot of friends across the country. The really, really big wholesalers, they rely heavily on direct mail. There's so many people out there go, oh, the cool thing is it's just text blasting and cold calling. And don't get me wrong, those are wonderful. But there's so many people doing that now. People are often looking direct mail. I watch gurus say, well, direct mail is dead. It doesn't work anymore. That means they don't do it. I'm telling you, I know probably 4 or 5 of the biggest wholesalers in the country. I'm talking about big numbers. By the way, the biggest wholesalers are the ones you're probably never going to hear about it. I don't want to be the biggest wholesaler. I already told you that. I enjoy my life. I enjoy making a lot of money and having a lot of time. If you have a lot of money and little time, to me, you're dead broke. So it's all about what you do with that money and how you help other people out. So direct mail still works. That's number one. You got to understand with that. It's 100% legal. You guys that are fighting, like, am I allowed to cold call this person? Can I do it? Can I do an RVM? Can I do this? Can I do that? I'm just telling you, they are never going to outlaw direct mail because it's through the United States Postal Service. So if someone says, hey, Rick, I'm calling the cops on you because you sent me a piece of direct mail, that's great. We're going to have to send Domino's to jail. We're going to have to send Bed Bath & Beyond to jail. You cannot go to jail for sending a direct mail. Okay. Now, if your message is not appropriate, then that's another conversation, but we don't do that. So I'm not worried about anybody there. So I'm here to tell you, one of my favorite parts about direct mail, and nobody wants to talk about it, you don't have to scrub your list and do all this stuff. Number 2, you don't have to skip trace. Okay. I get a lot of people say, hey, Rick, well, the cost of direct mail is high. I go, I tell you what, I'll run the cost of direct mail against any cold calling or SMS in the long run. Because the difference is you're not calculating the cost of the employees to run everything, the cost of the data. And one of the really cool parts is you don't need an army to run this stuff. So it's really, guys, if you don't get this point right here, it is so scalable for the single operator. For the first 4 or 5 years I did direct mail in my wholesaling business, I did it solo. Full disclosure, my wife helped me out when I got overwhelmed, and then I brought in VAs. But I'm here to tell you, I don't have a giant staff, okay? I run my entire operation on just under 4 employees. That's it, okay? Like, do the math on this. I heard somebody say the other day, they got a wholesale deal off of 35 cold callers. Do you guys know how much it costs to pay 35 cold callers? Like, it's insane. Like, if you had to net the numbers out, it's not. If you make a $50,000 deal, but you spent 45 to get it, I'm not impressed. I'm actually disappointed in you. So the key here is to keep as much as the money as you can without driving yourself crazy. The really cool thing about direct mail is when I was working ready for, it wasn't a 9 to 5. It was a 7 to 7 job. I had 2 small children, a mortgage, a pile of debt. And I ran the business for 2 years off direct mail because I didn't know anything else. So I'm just telling you, I dug out of that entire hole. I put away 1 year's salary. I told my wife I quit. And it was probably the greatest feeling I've ever had in my life, other than getting married and having children. Hopefully she's watching it and she'll acknowledge that. So, guys, I'm just telling you, it's extremely scalable. I know it freaks you out to spend money on it, but listen, the really cool thing about direct mail is once you spend that money, it's done. You're not bleeding to death on trying to pay employees to do it. So, and remember, it's inbound marketing. Okay. If you have a 9 to 5 job Inbound marketing is everything. What does inbound marketing mean? It means these sellers are calling you. You're not calling the sellers. It's the opposite of cold calling. Now, it's a little bit slower approach. I agree. But when I was working the 7 to 7, I didn't have another option. I couldn't answer the phone. I didn't know how to hire people to do it. So, guys, we're going back 20 years ago. It's like the ice age back then to most of you on here. But I'm telling you, I ran a very successful wholesaling business just on this operation alone. And I want you to understand today, I still have it going. I just have it a little bit more advanced because I've got a little bit more money and time. Um, so let's talk about regular direct mail. This is what you guys have to deal with. And this is the crap that's out on the market. And this is why if you don't educate yourself, you will get killed on direct mail. So your typical direct mail, you go and get a postcard, right? Like there's a million vendors online. You can get it. You send it, you get a 0.5% response, maybe 1 if you're lucky. And what happens? You hope and pray someone calls you, since the average seller gets 3 to 5 postcards per week. And here in Florida, it's probably 10 to 15 postcards. It's obscene. Ask me how I know this because I've done it so much. So they get all these postcards. You send them a cookie cut version of somebody else's material. And typically it's a printer that really doesn't do wholesaling. They just copied a successful wholesaler's postcard and it gets completely saturated in the market and it never ever changes it, and use it till the day you die. How do you know this? Guys, I used to use the Google image thing forever and it failed. It failed miserably and I didn't adjust fast enough. And that's how I came up with a lot more creative products. And then if it doesn't get any worse, you're typically dealing with 5 other wholesalers and in my opinion, like 10 other realtors. They're like, these guys send these We Buy Houses things everywhere. And then let's face it, whenever you do, I used to struggle with this my first time. When I first did wholesaling, especially direct mail, they're like, hey, what's your price? And I'd go through this entire song and dance. It was actually exhausting. Now, I've had a lot more sales training since then, but I'm telling you, this is one of the biggest struggles with direct mail is how do we deal with price, Rick? And I'm going to tell you, the system I'm going to show you at the end of this completely takes this off your plate and actually flips the script on them. But your standard postcard, you have to do the dance. What do I mean by the dance? If you can get past asking the qualifying questions, they will hammer you on price 1,000%, and it's hard to anchor them in. So, as I said, I've been doing direct mail for 19 years plus. I've always, listen to me, I can't stress this enough. Now, this is me. I'm not guaranteeing anyone's results. I have always gotten a deal every time I've sent out a batch of direct mail. Now, I send out large batches, guys, but it's not as big as you think it is. And actually, it's shockingly low. I don't believe in wasting money. The typical marketing budget for a wholesaler, someone who thinks they're like really scalable, is what do you guys think the typical marketing budget for a wholesale operation is? I would love to hear. I know the number to heart, but there's a number you should not exceed. So what I'm talking about is percentage. So say you earned $100,000 in wholesaling, how much of that should go to marketing? So I want to educate you guys on this because I've talked to probably 10,000 wholesalers and it's so funny to hear people's numbers. And I'm going to show you how if you're ever dealing with a guru or someone telling you, you could ask direct numbers. So I got 5K from Louis, 10K. So let's just go percentages. So maybe Louis, because remember, if you do 100,000 or $1 million operation, it's all on a percentage. So throw me some numbers up there because I'm going to shock you on this one. Okay, it's 4 to 5K months. So okay, I'm talking about percentage, but I've noticed pretty close there, 20%. A healthy operation, like an aggressive marketer, will typically spend 15 to 20% of their entire budget on marketing. Like marketing, like everything. So now you can break it down. Direct mail is not the whole part of it. 10%, I see 20. Once you start to exceed these numbers, you got to start scratching your head and go, okay, what's going on? Okay. With my system, my goal is always to stay under 10%. How do I do that? You have to find good margin deals. Okay. You can't have low margin deals. Most scalable wholesale operations, when you get down to it, Ask them specific questions, and I promise you, you can punch holes in the 90% of what people say. Okay. So, for instance, someone told me they had 35 cold callers to get one deal for 35,000, I think $40,000. That means they lost money on the deal. That means they lost money on the deal. You guys waiting to come online? Just get in line. I promise you in like 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to put you on. I'm going to take you in the order you get on there. If you don't want to stare with your mug on there, just you can block your shot. And when I tell you we're going to go live, so you're not on hold forever. So I see you guys. I promise you. I'm not forgetting about you. Okay. So understanding that is, if you understand the percentages and the numbers, you can see if someone's for real or not. So if you ask someone, hey, what do you guys spend on, what percentage do you spend on marketing? You're going to get pie in the sky numbers every time. And that's when you know people are lying to you. Number two, what's your profit margin for your business overall? If people can't give me those two numbers and they tell me they run a $10 million business, I know 100% they're lying to me. 90% of the people I ask the question, they never have a solid answer. There's no way you run a business without knowing those numbers. And I just want people to be honest with it. Okay. So for full disclosure, my marketing budget, I try to stay 10% or less. Now, I'm really good at what I do. I've gone up to 25 to 30. It's a disaster. I'm just telling you. The average margin for a typical United States company is anywhere from 20 to maybe 30% entire margins. Okay. The problem with wholesaling is when you scale it, the numbers start to wash down. So if I spend $1 million on advertising, how am I going to make $3 million? And the problem when the numbers get tighter, it gets harder. So I don't even get close to 20 to 30% margin. My margins are typically 55%. Once again, how do I do it? I know how to market correctly, and I know how to get high margins. That's the goal of wholesaling. If you want to have absolute as much free time as possible and as much money to do anything you want in life or take care of your family and friends. So let's get back to the presentation. I go on that one forever. And I tell you, ask people like direct questions. I can figure out if you're like lying to me or not about your business. Okay. When somebody says they run 10 million pieces of data, and then they tell me, like, do you know, I know how much that data costs. Like there's no way you're making any money when you do it. So a lot of these people out there like have these big events. Like I'll tell you how to do everything. They will never share with you how much they spend on marketing. And it's obscene. I've seen it as high as 35 and 40%, but they're getting deals, but they're not making any money. Okay. There's a famous wholesaler, starts the letter with R, was out of Tampa, ran this massive wholesaling operation. Okay. Before all this stuff that happened in our current last few years. And in the end, it was all fake, guys. It was fake. He said he was doing 10 to $15 million, and it wasn't an eighth of that. And I'm just telling you, if you guys are buying, and plus he had a $30,000 coaching program, and that's how it works. So anyways, so I've got a deal from every mailing I've ever done. Now, sometimes they take time for full disclosure. Number two, I would make anywhere from 20 to 25 grand per deal in 2000. And I was fine. I did good volume. I never did. I don't do hundreds of deals a year. It's an absolute lie. Like when people do that. So when you get really good at wholesaling, the idea is to try to take home as much money as you can. I'm not going to say the least amount of work with the least amount of effort. Okay. Because that's what burns wholesalers out. You see the people leaving this business, it's because they can't figure it out. Okay. You can be really flashy, but you don't make any money. I find the flashier people are, the less money they make, and they make more money actually selling you guys courses. So in 2017, I had more and more wholesalers absolutely completely flooding the market, and then the margins started going down, and I even saw it on my side, and I got frustrated. I was stuck, and back then I was using the Google image postcard. So let me know if anybody on here did the Google image postcard. It was a picture of the house. It's actually clever, and we automated it before they even offered these postcards. It wasn't my idea. I copied it off somebody else. But I got so many complaints because people are like, why are you flying a drone over my house? It's kind of funny if you think about it. And the problem is everybody did it and it lost its effectiveness. So margins went way down. And then Here's what I noticed. Like, I decided one day, I took all my salespeople. I said, listen, give me the two biggest objections everybody has off of direct mail when we do the mailings. And guess what they were? Take me off your list. I know you guys get this all the time. And the next one is, what's your offer? And that's when I go, man, I think I got a workaround for this. I think I know exactly how to deal with this. So here's what we did. After thorough testing, and this is actually when I was teaching my son the business, so we had a lot of fun doing this, is I created a postcard. So go back in history, way, way, way back in the day, like I want to say 2011, 12, I came up with a system called the handwritten postcard. And back then we used to take yellow 8.5, 11 piece of paper. We would jam it in the printer and we would print like a handwritten font on it. And it was very timely. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of money. And I remember saying, what if we could just put that all on a postcard? And that's how we did the handwritten postcard. You guys know the story. Everybody in the world ripped me off. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I was making a ton of money doing it, and everybody followed my lead. So I've learned in direct mail is you got to be a little bit creative. If you keep doing the stale thing everyone else does, eventually you will be saturated and you will be shoved out of the market. So the good news is I always stay ahead of the curve. So I came up with ROS Postcard. It's the rapid offer system. For full disclosure, I just came up with the idea. I don't own any really. I use it at a print house and I give it to all of you guys. Let me pull this up here before I forget it because I'm just is if you guys go to mailingmastery.com, I actually show you where to get it, everything to do. I'm not a printer. I don't want to be a printer. I have no interest in doing it. I just want to print my postcards. They print my postcards. In return, if you guys decide to use them, you go to mailingmastery.com. But my whole agreement with the company, I know the owner very, very well. He's actually a wholesaler too. His name is Justin. Phenomenal service, unbelievable. And you will never find anyone who's going to beat him in the business because I've used every printer. There's only 3 or 4 big printers in the country. This guy gets it. This guy actually got in a plane and come and met me. And he's like, hey, he goes, I hear good things about you, Rick, and what you're doing. I said, listen, I want to offer a postcard. I don't want any money from it. Just help people out. And that's the agreement we have. So I came up with the idea. He says, hey, listen, can we use it? I said, that's right. Let's give everybody the best price possible. So, oh my gosh, I forgot to take the comments. Okay. Hold on. My technology is slow. Okay. So back to the postcard. So this is it. So guys, don't worry about it. If you go to Mailing Mastery, the really cool thing about I'm not there to sell you anything. I'm just there to teach you. And I don't want anyone to go buy a postcard today. That's not the goal of this. Okay. Number one, I don't own the company. I have no ownership interest in it. They just take care of me. And I like people that just like take care of their customers. I've used other ones and I'm like, when did the mail go? This company is so far ahead on technology, but this is the postcard, guys. It's a front and a back. So the front's right here. I'm sorry. And yeah, the front's right here. A big, big, giant phone numbers, guys. You can't put your phone number big enough on a piece of direct mail. And I want you to notice on the back is they have this little thing. They got an offer down here on the bottom. Insane. Okay. Now, here's what happens is they use data just like we use through ListREI and .com, ZachData.com, is they create a formula to make an offer. You don't have to think about it. You just set what level you want to do the offer. Guys, I don't have enough time to teach it on here, but if you go to Mailing Mastery, I want to point you in the right direction to educate you on direct mail. Nobody that I know in the entire country teaches direct mail without hitting you with a ridiculous fee. And then when you get the product, almost every one of you are disappointed. So it's a simple postcard. Less is more. And I'm telling you, it is insane. So I tested this postcard out for a year before I even showed it to anybody on this channel because I'm in wholesaling and I know it works and it works well. So here's what happened, guys. Guess this. Sellers took my calls before any other postcard. In Florida here, we're buried with postcards. It's ridiculous how many postcards are. The next one is I talked about this the other day, like the kind of the scrunchy face when I was talking about different sales presentations. This is it, man. This is like a built in there. You take the stress of making the offer, you get it out of the way. So when they contact you, they're basically going to accept your offer or they're going to volley back to you. Now, I want you guys to understand, and we average about a 2% response rate. That's still true to this day. But keep in mind, there's a lot of things that go into direct mail. You could blame ROS and go, oh man, I failed miserably. Let me see your list. How often did you mail to them? Who's answering the phone? Did you ask the 4-pillar questions to qualify them? Like, I can go on. There's so many points of failure for direct mail that a lot of people like to blame it on the direct mail or the person that introduced them to him. But you got to be fair. You have to learn the entire system. And that's why most people fail at direct mail. If you go out and buy this postcard with no training at all, you just buy it, you plug it in. I have no idea what your list is. And in a month you post on here, you bombed. I don't take you seriously because, first of all, the cardinal rule for direct mail is you got to wait 1 quarter to evaluate the results. It's much slower than cold calling. Okay. Um, since we've done these, now part of it is the market. I'm not going to take full credit for it. We've literally doubled. And to the point of posting this, it's close to triple. Okay. And I'm going to share with you. We just get a ton of calls off these. And we're always first to the seller. And remember, we get the first appointment. And as I guys tell you, you got to condition your sellers when you're there. Yeah, and so I went through the entire, what are you talking about conditioning? Go to freewholesaling.com. I teach you how to have a conversation before you get into it with your seller to make sure they give you a solid yes or no answer. If you don't do it, you're going to struggle. And that has nothing to do with direct mail. That's just with when you go out and do acquisitions and appointments. So let's talk about how the ROS postcard works. So seller gets an offer. Okay. The reason I did this because it was the number 2 complaint on direct mail. And I'm talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pieces I sent out. What's your offer? What's your offer? What's your offer? Okay. So when we make an offer, I'm going to tell you how we come up with a number on the offer in a second. Okay. We assume the house is in perfect conditions. Okay. We are assuming Zillow quality. Okay. You have to go into it with that. I want you guys to understand our mailing list do the counterintuitive, right? We're looking for people with distressed properties, with behind on payment, stuff like that. So we want to go with the mentality is if your house is perfect, our offer is perfect for you. We know the houses aren't perfect. Is it bait and switch? No, it's not. If your house is perfect, I'll give you exactly what it says on the postcard. Very rarely do I ever get that. Okay. See how to work this mouse here. So our offer is low enough. It's less than 6% plus closing costs. So it put on here greedy seller. The idea is our price, and we did this through, I probably spent 150 grand myself testing the data. Now I had to purposely, you ready for this? I had to purposely bomb direct mailings of $5,000 and $10,000 to figure out this data. Okay. So the secret in the ROS postcards has really nothing to do with the template other than it's simple. It's been tested. So we tested it. So our purpose is to find a seller that has something wrong with the house that understands they're going to accept some sort of discount. So most sellers, let's hear this out. Put it in the comments here. A standard seller, I'm not talking about the perfect ones like a perfect house, but somebody's got a rental home, maybe a little bit of issues. What do you think they expect to take a discount if they go outside of a realtor? And I'm talking about like, it's never going to be 50%. You guys know that. But what do you think the standard number it is? So a realtor costs what? 6%. Closing costs what? 1.5%, 2%. We're up to 8%. And remember, there's a little bit of negotiating in there. Maybe 1%. We're at 9%. And then there's always something wrong with these houses. You put in another 3 to 4%. We make an offer based on a computer. And I just told them the numbers that work. And then I gave it to people that are smarter to me. Remember, I'm not in the software. Any type of coach, guru, or wholesaler that tells you they own a data company or a software company, be concerned because you can't be really good at all things. Okay. I'm really good at wholesaling. I'm terrible at software. I just admit it. I'm not, honestly, if I didn't have a calculator on my phone, I would be in trouble. So I don't try to go into the space on it. So I'm looking at the numbers here. Um, Rick says between 10 and 15%. He's right. Okay. I don't go in. So if the house is worth 200,000, I don't go in and offer 198,000. We found the sweet spot. And the really cool thing about ROS, when you go to Mailing Mastery, we teach you is you can adjust how much you want to offer on the postcard based on a sliding scale. You get to test the data out. Remember, what works in my market might not work in your market. I have several virtual markets, and we have to increase some of the offers and we have to lower them in some other markets. Every market's unique. You have to master and learn your market. That's the secret to direct mail. And once you do it, you can scale this thing through the roof. Remember, you have to answer the phones. You got to go on appointments. You can actually overspend in direct mail if you don't know what you're doing. So that's right. We offer a discount where we just enough to induce the person goes, okay, I get it. I'm going to take an 8 to 10% discount right off the bat. And here's the really cool part. And I learned this through this. So it's just high enough where we still get the most calls. They're like, so the reality of most sellers, I'm just going to tell it to you, like I have a lot of experience in this. If they could sell their house less the real estate commission and closing costs like that, they would take your offer all day long. You agree? We wouldn't make any money if we did that, Lois. So we're not into it for that. So I don't want you to do that. But remember, the purpose of direct mail is what? It is to engage a seller to see if we can buy their house. That's it. The rest is up to you. It's your ability to qualify people, to say the right things, and to be as helpful as you can to them to get the deal done. This piece of mail, I should have put a physical one in my hand, does not do your work. It does not replace you. It is not a salesperson. The idea is to engage your lead. Your lead has 5 to 7 other postcards. They all look the same. Hey, let me look at this ROS postcard. Dude, this guy put an offer on it. Let's call him. It sounds good. And once you have it, like once they call you, qualify them. Here's a big secret. You should probably write this one down because this is probably the most valuable thing I learned in the first year of doing this. When they call me, I don't care what the offer is on the postcard. But Rick, you put an offer on the postcard. I don't care. I could care less what it is. I am now going to qualify them. And hopefully I'm going to go out and look at the house and I'm going to make an offer based on what I see and what they say. So if you can get over, if they go, I have people all the time. We have them up to $350,000. Hey, Rick, I'll take your offer for $350,000. Great. I'm going to go through the qualifying questions. And then number 2, I'm going to go out and look at the house. And if that house ain't perfect, you ain't getting $350,000. I've had 2 houses I've actually bought off the postcard. Like it was perfect. I had a buyer lined up for it. It was really easy, but that's not what we're doing. No matter what they say, the whole goal of that postcard is to engage your seller. Once they call you, engage you, you handle the rest. What I'm saying is you have to get trained on what to say. The really cool thing is we show you the whole thing. And basically we negotiate the offer in person if the house is not perfect. Remember, if you're targeting the right list, you are not buying brand new spanking like builder houses. So it's never, ever an issue. So here's the truth. We need to assume the best out of every house and explain Zestimates. Okay. Because do we complete with Zestimates? I don't care. I always look at them before I teach my salespeople to look at them. So you know what their counter is going to be, but we have to assume the house is in like perfect condition. Otherwise you have no room to negotiate. Okay. And 98% of the time, they are never in perfect condition if you're doing the right list. The offer is just to engage your call. You got to work the magic, guys. It's up to you. So when you guys, if you're doing the ROS postcard now, or you think about it, when they call you and say, hey, I'll take your offer, like that doesn't mean the game's over. You have to go through and qualify. You got to find motivation. If there's no willing are you to go outside the norm of what society teaches and take a risk to give you the ultimate reward for your family. So I posted this. This was off Zach's, actually, I think it was off his personal Facebook, and I can't see it on there. He just said he did his first deal with the ROS postcard, did 40 grand. Guys, I don't do solicitations for this stuff. It works. I want you to think about this for a second, okay? Um, the, the difference with this postcard is it just gives you a head start on your competition because you're doing something so unique and different. And by the way, if you're saying it's saturated, it's not. I keep an eye on how many people actually do this. I talk to the owner all the time. I'm just telling you, most people don't even utilize this strategy. It's ridiculous. I own it in Florida. Like everybody knows my postcards. Everybody I talk to, my friends, I even sent it to a family member by accident. That's pretty bad. I should filter the list a little bit better on that. So I'm just telling you guys, there's no secret to direct mail. You just want to have something that stands out a little bit above your competition, and then you have the skills to be able to do it. So here's the honest truth. You will fail with direct mail without the proper training, especially with this postcard. So do not go out and buy this postcard today. I want to educate you. The whole purpose of Mailing Mastery is if you're new or you're very experienced, the idea is we take you from step one, how to build a list. We go through so much of stuff. I've done millions of these things, millions of postcards to send out. I'm a big part of it. I don't send out millions, by the way. Okay. And we'll get into it when we get in the conversation. We will not allow you to send any postcards out unless you are properly trained. I've already told the owner, Justin, if you have somebody brand new that doesn't know what they're doing, don't do it. I don't want you guys getting killed. And Justin is a big enough man that goes, he rather have you as a long-term customer than you being a one-time hit wonder. So you order $2,000 or $3,000 postcards and then you fail, then you'll never buy from him again. So me and Zach support you on this in Mailing Mastery. It's absolutely crazy how much training we do on this. It's the only free direct mail course I know of out there. It's insane. Okay. I was offered a crazy amount of money for this course. I turned it all down. You guys know what my goal is. I want to help. I'm going to change wholesaling industry. I don't care who I tick off doing this. I'm tired of people screwing people over, not helping them out in wholesaling. It's ridiculous. So go to mailingmastery.com. There's no credit card. It's 100% free. We give you the ROS scripts, recorded calls of me and Zach actually closing people on ROS postcards. And actually, we did a bunch of live ones. So we're really good at what we do. So if you know how to pull the list, have the right conversation and what to say in the sales presentation, you'll do very, very well with these postcards. Okay. And for those of you guys that follow me, I work with the owner and we're constantly updating. Okay. And we play around with like different versions. Here's the really cool part. I don't want you to test it out. I test it out and then you go from there. I already told you I spent $150,000 just in mailing fees to figure out the sweet spot. And if you go to Mailing Mastery, I go through the entire story. Guys, it's a lot of training. I couldn't do it in a 2-hour video, even if I wanted to. Guys, go to mailingmastery.com. It's a game changer. Even if you're not going to do direct mail, educate yourself on it so you know what's going on. So much goes into direct mail other than the print piece. And so many people just you like hold the person that gave you the print piece like accountable, the coach or the guru. Honestly, you have to have a complete system. You have to have it. And most gurus aren't going to walk you through it. So mailingmastery.com, you jump on a one-on-one with me, which I'm going to open it up here in just a moment. I got Jason, I got Jan. Like 5 minutes, I'm going to come on. You will do amazing things with it. The people that just jump in, try it once and jump out, I could have told you you're going to fail before you did it. Okay. Anybody, you guys see the post all the time. I tried direct mail. It's dead. My coach told me it's dead. It's dead because he doesn't know how to do it. And B, you didn't give it any type of opportunity and you have to educate yourself on everything. So I think, let me see. Am I done here? Guys, that's it. So I'm going to take that off here. And that's everything you really need to know about the postcard. I'm always playing with direct mail. It's actually a hobby of mine. So I did a handwritten postcard. It was actually the #1 selling postcard for 4 years in a row. And I didn't financially benefit from any of it. People wrapped it up in their courses. They duplicated it. I had to meet with Laura. I just gave up. So if you guys are introduced to handwritten postcard, that was like my idea. And The reason I know it worked is because I tested out and I made a lot of money doing it. And then what I had is other people rip it off and it's ridiculous. So I learned as I went forward. So I do have, there is a lot of money tied up in that product in testing. Okay. I don't own a print company. I have no, like a, to me, that's, ugh, like I wouldn't want to do that. Back in the old days, we used to have print machines in my office, and I used to drive my wife nuts because the printer used to run all night, and we got ink on it. Well, we like ruined the room. I never heard the end of it, so I promised I would never do it again. So that's it, guys. I'm going to go through some questions on here, and then I'm going to start